So now we're going to multiply and divide integers. So we're going to use the chip model again and try to explain what's going on here. So say you have a set of 5, positive 5, and you're going to have that 3 times. So you have 3 sets of positive 5, and that gets us a 15. That's not too surprising. And a lot of times we show that when we're learning multiplication, that 5 represents, or I'm sorry, 3 groups of 5 is represented by 15. It's like addition. You could count those all up, right? Okay, so now if we had groups of negative 5, so we have negative, but we have 3 of them also, well, then that's going to have, if you totaled those up, that would be negative 15. So probably not too surprising there if we think about it that way, just adding negative 5 and negative 5 and negative 5. Now we have 5 that we want to take away 3 times. So this is the next problem. Well, we don't have anything to start with, so we have to put something in. So we can put in groups of 5, but remember when we put them in, we also have to put the negatives in so that, you know, we're keeping it even. We were starting with nothing and we want this to total up to nothing. Maybe there was a better way for me to write this, but, and that would be then 3 groups of positive 5 and 3 groups of negative 5, right? Okay, so it totals to 0. But now we can look at taking out, 3 times we're going to take out a group of positive 5s. So that takes out these 5s, takes out these 5s, takes out these 5s. Those are the 3 groups we're taking out. So we take them out, remove them, and then what do we have left? Negative 15. Oops. Okay, and then on the last one, we're going to do a similar thing. I'll draw it a little bit differently here. 1, 2, 3, 3 groups of 5. We know we're going to have that. But then we're going to have the groups that make it add up to 0, because again, we're going to want to be taking out. But this time we're going to be taking out the groups of negative 5. And how many times are we going to do that? We're going to take out 3 times. So we're going to take out a group of 5, negative 5, sorry, a group of negative 5, and another group of negative 5. And then what do we have left? Well, just the positives, and that gives us 15. Oops. All right. So that's an explanation with the chip model, but basically it comes down to these rules. Multiplication and division rules are this. You multiply the absolute values of the numbers, and then if the signs are the same of the 2 things you're multiplying or dividing, then it's going to be positive. So same signs, positive. Different signs, so if you have 1 positive and 1 negative, it's going to be negative. So a positive times a positive is positive. A positive times a negative is negative. A negative times a positive is negative. Doesn't matter who has the bigger absolute value. And then a negative times a negative is positive. So that's the one a lot of times students will say, you know, positive, 2 positive, or 2 negatives make a positive, but it's only a multiplication. Okay, so it doesn't follow our addition and subtraction rules. So these are multiplication and division rules, and the division rules are the same as the multiplication rules. Okay, so it says multiply or divide. So you're going to, an example 7, so you're going to look at 115 divided by 5. They're both negative, so we know the answer is going to be positive because the signs are the same. So we just, now I don't know how many times 5 goes into 115, so I do this little number here, like back in the day when we learned how to divide. I think I'm getting 23. And you always want to make sure when you're doing these calculations, just double check the sign. So do I want it to be positive? Yes, I do. So a negative divided by negative is going to be a positive because it's that situation at the end there. So division works the same as multiplication with the signs. So, okay, that looks good. All right, the next one, 5 times 12. So just positive times positive, it's going to be positive 60. All right, now I've got 9 times negative 7. Well, I have one negative sign. Anytime you have, like if you have a bunch of them, if there's an odd number of negative signs, it's going to be negative. If there's an even number of negative signs, it's going to be positive. All right, so we just have the one negative sign. That means our answer is going to be negative and 63. 9 times 7, 63. Okay, and then the last one, we're dividing, but it's a negative divided by a positive, so the answer is going to be negative, and it's going to be 9. And then just one more thing on this. When we multiply by -1, so let's say we have -1 times a. We're going to write that then as -a. Or you might see that in, notation. You might see something like, -a plus 5. Well, that means -1 times a. So sometimes students like to write that in. They'll put like a little 1 there so they can see, oh, it's -1 times a. So we talked about coefficients. The coefficient on that -a would be -1. Okay, so that's it.